Look at what this young man said. I became a Christian after leaving Islam. So how Christians are being sidelined in states that were, or would I say, would purportedly be seen to be Muslim state, if I'm to say so. But it's actually very systemic. Every Christian northerner have a painful story regardless. God has remained faithful. And that is what we are looking at in this video. I read most of the comments yesterday after my video looking at what Pastor Paul Eneche himself said, which I just had to play for you. And what most especially Apostle Iren said. Many of you from the CCI came and were commenting that I was misunderstanding him. No, that wasn't misunderstanding in any way. What I did was very intentional. And let me make you understand this. If you watch the video carefully, even the context of the conversation, I still shared it in the comment as if I didn't know that I had seen the context of it, like someone rightly explained. And I didn't say what he was saying was wrong, just that the idea of saying Nigeria has a base infrastructure, I still gave you a proof from someone who was once Minister of Defense, just so you get to understand the Nigerian military you're talking about. And I just tried to prove his point with respect to also, if you have money, what it can be, with the recent trending person that, putting Wike in his place and standing up for himself and as a military officer. But that's just by the way. And if you look at this here, what happened with when Church Gist posted that particular information? It was intentional that the platform cut out the preceding statement before what he said, maybe for engagement. And I could see this popular platform on Twitter, Spiricoco Twitter, even calling out Church Gist. And this is what they say. This is not the main conversation for today. As you can see, it's about Apostle Gideon Odoma. Please permit us to share a full thought on this. This is a full version of Apostle Iren's clip that the Church Gist intentionally misrepresented, causing a wave of unfair attacks against him. I wasn't attacking Apostle Iren. I was just trying to show his mindset with respect to, even though he was speaking the truth as to the real situation of what happens in the country, coming from a man of God speaking facts for what it is, it would be quite questioning as to why he would be speaking that way, understanding also his relationship like we do here, relevance by association. You get that idea? What he said is true. Every Nigerian knows justice often favors the rich and powerful in this country. Indeed, that is true. But Church just twisted it to sound like Apostle Iren was commenting on national security, unfairly exposing him to public backlash. You see, when I talk, they say George is a antichrist. Some of you, if you watch that video, the comment I pinned on the comment section was very intentional as well. The person had never commented or probably engaged in my comments here, or would I say conversations we have on the platform, but understands my pattern as to how I do things. If I have to discuss about a trending thing, especially if it's coming from a secular platform that has to do with the faith, I'll go to the source to bring clarity in case those people in that secular space would have a situation to understand the context, and I bring that here based on how I do things. But this is coming from a platform that is not a secular platform, but it's more like a Christian-based platform doing this intentionally. Now, I didn't see that video on their Instagram handle. Maybe they posted it on YouTube. Now, I don't know if the church is there on Twitter is really the same church that is on Instagram, because that video was posted on Twitter, but I didn't see it on IG. So probably they choose where to post this or where to post that, but that is just by the way. So Spiricoco Twitter calling out Church Jesus like, I thought these were the platforms that, when it comes to those who are doing the right thing. If it's me now, they say they will want to arrest me, they want to do this because I am persecuting the body of Christ, like that human being that came out last time during the time that Paul Nature was trending with that his ex-pastor and stuff like that. I've not even heard that human being who said he's representing what. I've not heard his voice since you have been talking about the crisis and the genocide, or would I say the situations happening in the north. It's as if he has become deaf and dumb. Oga, if you are watching this video, we should hear your voice now, not going out to go and arrest anybody To the church gist as another social media platform, we say this: you are not acting right. Your thirst for engagement may make you feel powerful, but it's an illusion. Engagement fades as quickly as it comes. None of us is that powerful. We don't know anything about social media. We don't know anything about social media, others don't. We only have the grace and privilege of a slightly known voice, but you are not stewarding yours well. Everyone now knows your posts chase controversy and interaction. Running a popular platform is a great responsibility. You may never grasp the scale of your influence or the ideas you plant in people's hearts. God would hold you accountable for it. He would hold us accountable for ours too. You share clips of preachers saying the most unbiblical things and think it's kingdom work. It's not. You share clips of preachers saying the most unbiblical things. And we only care because you claim God commissioned you to do this. You said you got the vision at a visual. Then don't live for engagement. It's not real. The voice you have today can vanish tomorrow. So if your influence is this fleeting, why not use it for what edifies, uplifts, and brings great report? We say this in love and hope you reflect. May God help you. Amen. Probably they know each other. Talking about him or the person that runs churches getting the vision in a video. But the funny, interesting thing is that Apostle Iren posted the video, or would I say the full context himself, and that is what he's being reshared. So I'm going to play the full context for those who were, upset with my video. I just did that intentionally as well, so that you see that is not the problem of the church is not actually outside the church, is inside. Now we be our own problem. But if Josh is out of the mix, at least I just took it from church gist and then I posted it the way it is, because this is the gist from the church. You get the point now. And I didn't want to do that work. One reason, of course, I didn't have to want to do that is most of the time, me people who don't like to sit down and watch long videos. I've been observing, but I don't really mind if I have to talk about something that important. And when I look at what happened last time with his person, when Peter Obi was trending of that clip of him saying converting night vigil, converting night vigil to night shift and all of that. He saw his comment. He hadn't watched the full context of that particular podcast, I would say, and I discussed about it clearly. So, but if he could para the way he para and post a video, when it comes to replying, or would I say responding to Peter Obi or what he was saying in a podcast, I was hoping that I would see that same energy with respect to this particular one, that people are dying. This one is someone was just talking on a podcast. If tomorrow he becomes a president, but this is something happening concurrently. And I was expecting to see the same drama. So if Peter Obi could be taken out of context of what he said, and then he made comments about it, even he and Apostle Edu also made comments about that, and I discussed about it. It's the same thing, of course. I just saw your video on church gist and I take it as well that way, even though I still said the context, but discuss the clip as it is, as if I don't know what happened in full context. But he just posted this video without any context or without any title, and it has been reshared by the Spiricoco Twitter with context. Okay, so now, of course, let's listen to the video and you people can calm down. So let's take this to be as him responding to a backlash against his person of a video that church just posted. Again, this is not the main thing we are discussing in this video, even though I'm still talking about him from the past.
Tell the person by your side, say, seek justice, especially as a Nigerian. It's something you need to learn afresh, because you can be so used to oppression, you look away. It's the safer thing to do. In Nigeria or in Africa as a whole, if you don't have money, you are nothing. You know now, there is only justice for the rich. What fair chance does somebody have who doesn't have anybody in power in this country. It's something we all know now. And so there is the tendency for us to now take up an individualistic approach. I must just make it to preserve myself and my family. Listen, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying have an even broader vision to say, this thing can't continue like this. A country is only as great as how it treats the common man. And when you look at a country carefully, you will know if they prioritize the common man or not. Let me tell you something. Our security infrastructure is actually one of the best in the world. Let me land and you will agree with me. Be a rich person in trouble. Drop money and see. They will bring the thief for you. Am I lying? So maybe the problem is where the wickedness is happening, that the voices there, maybe it doesn't matter to us as much as we pretend. Sometimes when I read history, it's like we're reading different Bibles because the theologians of old, by the understanding that they got from the word of God, they rose up and they fought for the vulnerable to abolish slavery, to build hospitals, to build schools and all of that. But somehow we have created a brand of Christianity that is comfortable only in church, surrounded by stained glasses and nice music. Say, seek justice.
Seek, Guinea, justice. Actually, if you want to get the full context, the title of the video itself is Jesus Called Me Broke. And actually it was on the anniversary. Very nice attire, very nice. His dress sense is on point. That I give him to Ali. Okay, so if people can calm down now, let's go on to the main subject of this video. And I shot this video now before today. I just had to give this prelude before we get on to discussing what Apostle Udoma had to share. So just to continue from my previous video, just trying to make it short. Apostle Iren, back in January, February, March, April this year, there was a bit of a conversation on Twitter where he was being, called out with respect to, speaking for or speaking out as to what is happening in Nigeria, especially in the north, or would I say in the middle belt, more like adding his voice to that. And there's this tweet he actually made, which from the comments, you get to see the context of why he was being dragged, which also follow us up with the video before this one, as we look at the idea of what actually did happen. He said in a tweet here, "Grow up, social media is not real life. In Plateau alone, not even in the whole north." Sorry, you are not seeing exactly what I'm showing right here, so please, I beg your pardon. "Grow up, social media is not real life. In Plateau alone, not even the whole north. Last year, we paid for the treatment of a man whose arm was amputated by bandits, sent close to villages, have had kids on scholarship for 5 years now, partnered with missionaries and helped families escape attacks. All of this without noise or paparazzi, like people who actually care and not to score points in public eye. Before you come here to take the moral high ground, ensure you are at least doing what I am doing or better. Except you are a member of my church, I don't owe you any accountability. You do not tell me when or how to speak up. I do not hold a public office. Maybe holding the leaders who do accountable will be a better idea. At the end of the day, God marks our script." Now, this was what he said as a then. From the replies in the tweet, you'll get to understand the context for which he gets to speak. Now, this was as at April this year, even though now, of course, the voice we get to hear in this whole conversation would be predominantly the voice of Ezekiel Dachomo. And of course, when pastors get to speak, even though they speak on social media and people get to hear, most especially they are trying to address their own audience, or would I say their own children or their own followers. And Christianity being a very, would I say, one body kind of faith, whereby what your pastor says can also be relevant to me because you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. So if you are speaking out of probably what should be expected of you, I can call you out because I don't expect you to speak that way. So yeah, dichotomies and differences would also get to happen, like we have been seeing here on the platform. But the comment as well became quite interesting. You totally missed the point. Speaking out and condemning the act online is as powerful as reaching out to them. God bless you for that. We need the attention drawn so that people, we need attention drawn to that place so that you will not be burdened by new cases of orphan kids and amputees. As for accountability, except I am a member of your church, wake up. This is social media era. You you can shut down the media department of your church so your messages wouldn't get to non-members of your church. Do you understand? And this is where, like I just mentioned right now, social media becomes indeed very concerning because everyone cares about what everyone says. Just like I'm making a commentary on this particular conversation. This was when he was being dragged that he has to speak out. Now, note, of course, he is currently, when it comes to the youth wing of the PFN, at least the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, he has a position there. Him, Apostle Femi Lazarus, and other people, they may not always be correct, and no one can be 100% perfect. We know they ever fit really satisfy everybody. Me too here, they collect my own share of woto. Since I've been talking about this whole trend as it started, someone literally came on the channel and said that you have lost your relevance. Why? Because I'm not talking about drama, this pastor dragging this pastor, this pastor dragging this pastor. I'm talking about something that contains my heartbeat, my country. So whether you care or not as well, the video finds those who really care about those conversations. And I've kept my word to that. Whether 2 people watch it or 100 people watch it, I know the video to make and it will just wake everybody up from their sleep. I know. So when they click and scroll and pass, I know the platform helps me understand the data, how you people behave. It's because I've done this for a long time. But I'm very intentional about what I'm doing here because we need to have these conversations. All this gibberish you are spewing is because people are asking you, pastorpreneurs, calm down, to speak up for fellow Christians that are being massacred in your own country. You think providing for them is enough? What about speaking out about the root cause so that there will be no need to buy them clothes or treat them? You just rush to react without thinking. Typical egoistic behavior of pastorpreneurs. That was a really strong one, I would say, on his person. But moving on as well here, as a Christian leader, it is your duty to speak against extremism and executions of Christians in your country, for God's sake. Nobody can tell you what to do, no wahala. But when Peter B said things about tithes, you quickly rush to the same social media you said is not real life to attack him. He was talking about, not really about tithing per se, okay? He was talking about, of course, churches, spending morning and night, of course, in churches, doing vigil all night. We know how that one as well went. Some comments here I can't get to read, but some of them are quite concerning. But the one here by Patrick is one I find to be very significant. Patrick Anum says, first of all, we are middle belt, not the north. Someone even corrected me here in the video when I keep saying not, because in the middle belt region as well, insurgency is really on the high. Second, this message would come across much better if it showed humility as your Bible preaches instead of pride and arrogance. Me too, they have given me that particular tag before. Third, it is possible it is possible to quietly do good work and still respect those who choose to speak out. It does not have to be one or the other. Raising awareness matters significantly too, especially because there's been an aggressive intent to mischaracterize the killings and call the genocide happening here as clashes. This is as at April this year, and this whole thing is happening in his own platform, at least someone that is young, of course, very much there in the media. And even me talking about this right now about him, I don't know how he's going to feel or his community will feel, but this is a public conversation. Speaking up against that is equally as important and shouldn't be dismissed since you contribute financially. I am not a Christian, but I have heard about the verse that says when you give to the needy, don't let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. He had to speak as well to really give a pointer to the fact that he really knows what is happening there in the middle belt, or in the north. The way you tweeted this publicly seems like maybe it's time to go back and reflect on whatever your actions really line up with. Reflect on whether your actions really line up with biblical teaching about giving. Wow, that was really a hard one to crack. That this person said he's not a Christian and is responding in this particular way is quite interesting. The person that responded with this video of Pastor Polynesia said, my pastorpreneur, this is what they're telling you. Your nonsense attempt to gaslight is disgusting. Stop being a coward. Comparing pastors to each other, it's always something that I find it difficult as well to do. This particular story comes after this video. Watch it.
Our leaders who are making noise in Abuja, they do a lot of things that are not reported in the media about the North. Have we seen it in the North that it is quite impossible? Last year, I met a girl from Gwoza, local government in Borno State, who obtained 277 in a
Jam.
Yes, in UTME, and was trying to obtain certificate of citizenship from liaison office of Borno State in Abuja here. And could not, they told her to go to, because she is originally from Goza, is from an IDP camp. She only managed to get that mark. Was not admitted at the University of Abuja here, I am telling you.
Wow.
But while trying to secure admission to read law at the University of Abuja, she went to Borno State Liaison Office in Abuja here to obtain...
She's an indigene.
She's an indigene.
Of Borno
They
State.
told her to go back to Goza to obtain the certificate, but they were giving the same certificate to Muslims from Borno State in the same office before her very eyes.
Wow.
A police officer got there and said, this is how I have to use another Muslim person to obtain a certificate for me in this office, a serving police officer, female serving police officer that I met. So there are so many issues.
And this is what Apostle Gideon said. Watch this video and hear me out in two personal stories. My wife has not been able to get the indigenship certificate from her actual state of origin. Why? Because she converted to Christianity. Yes, Sokoto State has denied her the so-called state of origin certificate despite many efforts. In fact, after our wedding, I insisted that she try again. She traveled up to Sokoto, spent a full week there and came back empty-handed. They refused to issue her the certificate. Today, her state of origin certificate is from my state, not her father's state. Again, I'll remind you why. Because she converted to Christianity. They told her in clear and plain terms. They re-emphasized it in the Hausa language at the office in Sokoto to make it crystal clear that they were not going to issue her the certificate because she is a Christian. So a few months after our wedding, 17 years ago, she was admitted to the Nigerian law school. We heard that Sokoto State gave out 500,000 naira and a laptop to each indigene of the state who got admitted to the Nigerian law school. But my wife almost missed resumption because we could not raise 240,000 naira to pay her fees. We had just married, but wedding aside, I was normally and naturally broke. For him to say this as well was indeed has to be true. But then, by a miracle, we managed to raise the fee a day to the closing date of registration. Story number 2. While I was in UniJaws, I knew Christian students from Bauchi State who were constantly denied their state bursary. Because you guessed it, they are Christians. The scholarship board would somehow omit their names from the approved bursary list. They can tell that you are a Christian just by your name, even without ever meeting or knowing you. So when the affected students appealed, the State Students Association would encourage them to go file a complaint. Usually, after a lot of back and forth and traveling back to Bauchi to report the omission, traveling to their local government to obtain validation letters, and then providing proof of indigenship, they would first, number one, have spent about the equivalent of the bursary amount on logistics and transportation, and they would finally be told that the years of bursary program had ended and that they should wait for the following year. The following year, the same omission mistake would happen, rinse and repeat. Therefore, while the government agency and the officials in charge would never tell them that they were being victimized because of their Christian faith, both sides of the drama knew it was just a power play and the Christians could do nothing about it. Remember in my previous video looking at what was happening in the video about Femi Lazarus and his comment, I said that what is happening in Nigeria is very systemic. And the people themselves, see, those who are doing this and perpetuating this kind of acts in the system, they are human beings. They are not in, they are human beings like you, regular citizens who are in the bureaucratic system of the country, either working in the government or working in secretariat, and they are the ones actually practicing this. Regular Nigerians like you and I, because of their nepotism. Let's go on as well here. Those brethren would throw the through this ordeal. Those brethren went through this ordeal and graduated, never receiving their statutory benefit from their state, even though they qualified for it. Their only offense was that they were in the wrong religion. Time would fail me to multiply these stories, but there has been a systemic assault on Christians and Christianity in this part. What you hear in the attached video is a normal experience of many Christians who happen to be minorities in their state. The genocide dimension is simply one segment of an elaborate, diabolical, and subjugation project. It has only been getting worse, but this has to stop. And this is a pastor speaking out, of course, to the public, sharing a personal story of what is happening, just not about killing, but really taking people's life away from them with respect to what they are supposed to benefit by being citizens of a particular state, having an indigeneship there. Just imagine if you had to go through this. And when I went through the comment as well, people were also saying the same thing with respect to what happened. Look at the comment as well here. Let me just read one of them, one of the stories as well, so it begins to make sense. I was born and raised in Damaturu, Yobe State. I have never lived outside Damaturu for more than 6 months, but I don't have an indigent certificate. None of my family members have it. Shedrack Wood, who has the Damaturu indigent, was sent home from the FRSC training camp in Jos years ago because he is a Christian after spending 2 months in the camp. Many have been sent home from police college. Every Christian Northerner have a painful story regardless. God has remained faithful. And now as well, people are beginning to speak up of other aspects of what is happening in the country, especially in the northern and the middle belt regions, with respect to how Christians are being sidelined in states that were, or would I say, would purportedly be seen to be Muslim states, if I'm to say so. But it's actually very systemic. And that is what we are looking at in this video. You see, there's this particular document I'll maybe get to read to us one day, for which someone actually wrote a paper on Nigeria's genocidal nature and what has been happening. I've been reading papers as well to really understand the construct Nigeria and what it is, of course, has been happening. Because looking at this particular location, Sokoto, we have discussed about it as well when we look at the caliphate. Remember, we talked about that particular situation and how the Fulanis themselves became part of the construct Nigeria. Some of us know. So again as well, he received many insults, of course, for making that comment and saying that Gideon Odoma himself was lying. But you say, it's one thing as well for you to just speak. But this particular comment caught my attention. Look at what this young man said. I became a Christian after leaving Islam. Five years ago, but these have become one of the things I have been thinking lately. Replying to Apostle Odoma, I am going to try in 2026, but I know it's going to be so hard. Looking at how my family disowned me because of his faith in Jesus. His name is Sheikh Al-Masa. His family disowned him because of his faith in Jesus. This is indeed sad as well to see. His profile here says ex-Muslim, Christian missionary, rugged church planter, author and apologist. Allow me to explain Jesus is God. Wow. You know, there was one time I said here on the platform that, you know, some of us are Christians because we were born into the faith. Some of us are Christians because we chose to be Christians. Are you a Christian today because you chose to be a Christian, believe and say that you are walking with Jesus? Are you a Christian, like Elon Musk would say, that he is a cultural Christian in the sense of just flowing along? Because that to a great extent would define to what level of what you are able to sacrifice, and to a great extent what you are able to give up for what you believe in. You know, in economics we talk about opportunity cost. There is no free lunch. If there is no cost to that as well which you decide to be on, or the path you decide to be on, then how do you get to quantify the value of what you are holding? This young man as well, I think, understand what it means to be a Christian, being able to shift from where he was to where he is right now. To God be the glory. You can follow him on Twitter. I just followed him right now to see what he posts. I don't really get to talk a lot because I am many persons in one being. But anytime I'm on Twitter, I will look and see what he's posting. Interesting. His last post here was, Persecution doesn't silence the church, it strengthens her voice. Now is the time to advance the gospel to the Muslim world, even in the midst of persecution. The very people persecuting us today are often the ones we failed to reach out with the gospel yesterday. This is actually one of his tweets. I didn't make this up myself, okay? I don't take credit as well for that. This right here is a tweet that I just read right now. Very much interesting. Agba is always giving me a post on Twitter. Anytime I'm on Twitter, I'm always listening to Abba John Dio. Till I see you, of course, next time. Take care of yourself. You're welcome.